my name is Reggie, and today I will be kicking off NaNoWriMo videos with the author tag. This tag was created by Alicia Escobar on her blog, and I will go ahead and link that down below for you guys to check out if you're interested. I was tagged to do this quite literally a year ago by Clara at Clara Reads. She tagged me during last year's NaNoWriMo, but I just didn't do it, so I'm gonna do it for this year's project. So every Tuesday during the course of NaNoWriMo, I'll be posting a NaNoWriMo vlog of what I've accomplished during the week. However, since I won't have any vloggy content to put up on the first, I'm starting off with the author tag, just kind of introduce you a little bit more to my project. The first question is, what is the working title of your book? So I don't have a working title for my book. On the NaNoWriMo page, the project is called Untitled or Undecided or Unknown or something along those lines. I can't even remember. But basically, I have no title yet. I'm not that upset about it because I really love titles in books that kind of tie into a specific line in the book. Since I haven't written it yet, because this is my Nano project for this year, I don't have those lines to kind of pull from, so I'm not picking a title yet. I might come up with a work in progress-y title as I go on eventually, and I hope I do because I dislike calling it Untitled. Right now I'm just calling it Nano 17. Question number 2 is, where did the idea for your book come from? The idea of my book came from a podcast I was listening to. In this podcast, the person being interviewed in the podcast was talking about mass incarceration in America and the problems that faces for those who are incarcerated, especially after they get out of prison, because they have to put on pretty much every piece of paper they ever sign. Anything for hiring, anything for getting a place to live, that they were incarcerated. And so after her big spiel, she was kind of trying to equate it to how would you feel? And she asked the question, how would you feel if you were judged by the worst action you ever made? I really like that line. Didn't do anything with it at the time. A few days later, that question stuck in my head when I was walking my dog, and I was like, what if we lived in a world like that? Legitimately. You were actually judged by the worst action you ever created. And for some people who are great, that action wouldn't be that bad. And for other people, it would be much heftier. And how would that look like? And what kind of world would that produce? And I put that idea in my list of ideas, and I revisited it recently, and I was like, this is definitely something I'm interested in writing more about. There's more to it, but that's where we started the train. Question number 3 is, what genre does your book fall under? For me, I would say this is probably speculative fiction, though you could definitely classify it as dystopian. This is definitely a world that's in the decline and the recedings, but it's before it kind of really gets to dystopia. It's kind of where I feel like America is right now. You could definitely consider it dystopian, but I think it's pretty much just straight up speculative fiction because it's pretty contemporary. The world is pretty what it would be like here, but if one major component was changed. Question number 4 is, which actors would you choose to play in your movie rendition? I'm really bad at fan casting people, so I'm just gonna skip this question. I'd like it to be beautifully diverse. That's all I'll say. If you want character descriptions and you want a fan cast for me, go ahead. Let me know. We'll talk about it in a vlog or something. Question number 5 is, what is the one-sentence synopsis of your book? See, I don't have that pitch down yet because I am pre-filming this and I haven't finished prep-tobering, but, we'll give it our best shot. In this book, we find ourselves in a world where judgment is running rampant, as there is this wearable technology that allows a person to have the worst act they've ever created displayed to any person they meet upon contact due to wearable technology. Our main character is very opposed to this technology, and since it's still in the developmental stages, she's trying to stop it from getting out into the masses. Question number 6 is, will your book be self-published or represented by an agency? The dream is traditionally published. Question number 7 is, how long did it take you to write the first draft of your manuscript? Well, I'm starting it today, and today being the day you are watching this, so I don't know. Probably 2 months is my guess. We'll see. Question number 8 is, what other books would you like to compare your story to? I don't really like book comparisons. Like, I hate when people say, like, this is the next Hunger Games. This book is like John Green. I just don't like those in general. However, I can talk about the kind of books that kind of inspired the way I want to tell this story. And so they're definitely very different from the books I'm going to mention, but in their ways have huge similarities. So the first one is More Happy Than Not. More Happy Than Not by Adam Silvera is a book in which there is a world where there is this procedure that allows you to erase part of your memory, essentially. And it's kind of like what would happen if the scientific achievement and surgery existed. My story is similar because it's like this modern day world, whereas there's just one aspect that's different, this technology that's being produced that will completely change and alter the world. But everything else is the same as modern day contemporary story. And that's kind of like the speculative fiction of it all. But reading Adam's book really developed how I wanted to tell a story and kind of how I can see this world playing out and the similarities and differences between our modern day world and the story I want to tell. And the second book I would like to discuss on how it inspired me to write the story is The Handmaid's Tale. Of course, this is not comparing my story to The Handmaid's Tale because that is a modern day classic. However, that is a book in which we get a huge amount of the dystopian in the falling aspects. Obviously, we're after the dystopian has kind of come to fruition, but our main character, Alfred, has a lot of flashbacks to the crumbling of society and what led to this dystopian. You don't often get books that kind of tackle the crumbling of society. It's usually after things have happened, you get into the dystopian world and someone who's trying to change it finally after all this time. I haven't read a lot of books that tackle dystopian in like the crumbling aspect. Part of that is probably that I just haven't read a lot of those books. I'm sure they're out there. However, this is the only one I've read that's like this, or at least the first one that I read that was like this, and it really inspired me to kind of decide where in the process of this technology and taking over the world did I want to write my story. Question number 9 is, who or what inspired you to write this book? Technically NaNoWriMo 2017, but that podcast that I mentioned, I don't remember which one was the one that had this question posed to the audience in this way. And that's because I listened to 2 podcasts very close together and they both dealt with mass incarceration, so I'm not sure which of the 2 really had this question posed in it, but it was either the Hamilton podcast, where they interviewed a person who shared the Hamilton soundtrack with those who she worked with, which she worked at a prison, and she shared it with the inmates, and she talked about the impact it had on them. Similarly, at the same time, I listened to a podcast based on a TED Talk about mass incarceration. So it could have been from the TED Talk excerpt, or it could have been from the Hamilton podcast. I don't remember which. And lastly is question number 10. What else about this book may pique your interest? I've never been this excited about a project I'm working on. I'm really excited about it. I actually think the concept isn't a bad one. Every time I've ever written something or thought about a story, I've been like, this is such a bad concept. But like, just the root concept actually doesn't seem that bad to me. And I mean, if it seems bad to you, like, that's fine, but you're not gonna burst my bubble because I like it. And I'm getting attached to it, which is great because that makes it all the more, you know, exciting. I guess I can sell it more to you after I've written it probably, but I don't know. I'm just really, really excited to write this over the course of the month. I just thought talking to you a little bit more about my work in progress would be a good way to kick off NaNoWriMo 2017. Wish me luck, guys. And if you are participating in NaNoWriMo this year, go ahead and add me. I'll leave my link to the Nano participants page down below. You should also follow me on Twitter because I feel like I'll be posting the most updates there. Of course, I will be doing vlogs on this channel, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss those. And that's all for today's video. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, all the things, you know the drill. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!
Baby, I beg you, yeah.